would like to call the order of the Pleasant Grove City Council meeting on this Tuesday, April the 22nd, 2025. And welcome everyone that has joined us here. We have all our council members present and a majority of our staff. And we welcome those who have joined us from the public and also those remotely. We'll start tonight's out with a Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Anderson, after which we'll have opening remarks by Councilmember Jensen.
Please rise. Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dear and kind Heavenly Father, as we humbly bow our heads before you this evening as the opening of the City Council for this great city of Pleasant Grove, we're grateful for this opportunity we have to serve our citizens of this wonderful city, an opportunity we have to hear from them, and that we know to do so and have discourse in a civil manner. We know to take pride in our city and the opportunities that it affords to us on a daily basis. Again, we're grateful for all that we have in this community and say these things humbly. In the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Eric and Diana. Now, ask for approval of tonight's meeting and agenda. We don't have any.
No changes, Mayor.
I make the motion that we approve tonight's agenda.
We have a motion by Councilmember Malone, and after which, and do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Anderson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Now we'll open our open session and invite anybody to come forward and address the council at this time. And Peter, would you just state your name?
Yep, Peter Steele. And I am a resident of Pleasant Grove. And I'm here today to ask that each of you honor the oath you took when you were elected to public office to support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States. I believe in the American political system. I know each of you personally, and I believe that each of you acts in good faith to the best of your abilities to fulfill your duties to the city and its residents. But now it's time to rise above our day-to-day responsibilities and respond to the weightier requirements of your oath. The Trump administration in court filings and public statements over the last week and a half has asserted the power to arrest anyone in the United States, citizen or not, and send them without judicial oversight or due process of any kind to a prison in El Salvador to be held in brutal conditions for any period of time at the whim of that country's self-styled dictator. As you know, this kind of extrajudicial punishment is contrary to the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 8th Amendments. It is also strikingly similar to the behavior for which Americans declared their independence from England and George III, for depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury, for transporting us beyond the seas to be tried for pretended offenses. So far, this is known to have happened to one man, not a citizen from Maryland. The government admitted that their treatment of him was a mistake, but still claims the right to let him rot in prison with no effort to correct their wrong. If this is allowed to stand, how long before this happens to one of your constituents? Even if you discount the explicit threat the president has made to American citizens, 6.2% of the residents of Pleasant Grove are foreign-born. That's over 2,300 residents of this town who, regardless of their legal status, are at threat of kidnapping, banishment, and potentially torture or death. So how can you stand up for the Constitution? Every elected official takes an oath like yours. There needs to be a groundswell of pressure at every level for all of our politicians to stand up for America. Individually, our statements are very little. But if we ask you to stand with us, and you ask John Hawkins and Val Peterson and Brady Brammer and Keith Grover to stand with you, and if Hawkins and Peterson and Brammer and Grover ask Governor Cox and John Curtis and Mike Kennedy and Mike Lee to stand with them, we can save the Constitution and due process and the rule of law rather than rule by a king. Utah should be first in standing up for the Constitution, not hanging back in the pack of other states. So far, our congressmen have been avoiding having to take a stand. They cancel town halls. They say protesters are paid to be there. They need an unmistakable message that their voters and the other elected officials are not with them in this violation of the Constitution. So I ask you to stand up for your oaths today, to defend the Constitution and defend your neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address the council? Not, we'll now close our public hearing, our opening session and bring it back up to the council here and move on to item number 6, our consent items, which include A, consider approval payment number 7 to Acme Construction Incorporated for the PG storm drain outfall project, and B, to consider for approval payment number 2 to Lyndon Jones Construction Incorporated for the Mill Ditch project, and C, consider approval of payment reports for April the 8th, 2025. And ask for a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve tonight's consent items as read by you.
We have a motion by Councilmember Jensen. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Anderson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We'll now move on to our board, commission, and committee appointments, which we have 4 this evening for our Historic Preservation Commission as members. And they are Sherilyn Howcroft, Terry Manhia, Suzanne Segmiller, and Amy Wadley. And if those are here, would you come forward right now and introduce yourself? Like, I think we only have one here this evening, so.
And this is Sherilyn.
If you want to introduce yourself to the council, that'd be great.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure, okay. My name is Sherilyn Howcroft. I am the Archives Subcommittee Chair. That's the role that I would serve in the Preservation Commission. This is actually my professional background. I've been in archives for 25 years now at the LDS Church History Library in Salt Lake, also project archivist for the Joseph Smith Papers. Member of the Society of American Archivists, also in the Academy of Certified Archivists, and have my digital archive specialist certificate. So I'm ready to go. I'm ready to make an archive. This is exciting.
Something tells me you and Laurel are going to be best friends.
Yes.
She's now met her new BFF. That's awesome.
Well, and I've known her for years and years and years. And when I saw your name on the list, my very first response was, how did we get her? So, well done. And I'm just thrilled. So,
Great, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you.
One of the, I discovered one of the problems we have with these 4 good women is that they've been coming to the commission meetings,
wow.
but they haven't been able to vote. So now they will be able to do that and to be a full acting member of our historic preservation group there. So with that, ask for a motion.
Mayor, I'd like to make the motion that we approve the appointments of Sherilyn Howcroft, Terry Maneha, is that how you say that last name?
I think so.
Suzanne Segmiller and Amy Wadley as the Historic Preservation Commission members.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Anderson, a second by Councilmember, excuse me, Lamone. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Congratulations, sir.
Really quick, Mayor. Laurel, is this replacing members or are you adding to the commission? We lost quite a few. Okay. Okay. Okay, awesome. Oh, wow. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Okay, we have no presentations this evening or public hearings, so we'll move on to our action items this evening. 10A, to consider for adoption Resolution 2025-015, authorizing the mayor to sign a land sales agreement and the right-of-way with the Decor LLC and Pete Rossi for .08 acres of property located approximately 733 South, 200 West, 2000 West, Pleasant Grove. And we'll turn the time over to Director Cardenas.
Council, just give me 1 second while I pull up the file from my computer. One sec. I didn't know it was gonna be that fast. Yeah, I'll connect in a second.
Oh, thank you. You're awesome. Thank you.
There's a map on page 13 in your packet that shows the piece of property we're talking about, all these things set up.
What was that again?
There's a map on page 13
Oh,
in your
okay.
packet that will show you the piece of property that we're talking about.
Do you want to go to 13 in your packet?
Daniel wasn't used to such amazing efficiency, so.
Is he pulling it up now? Okay. Yeah, I'd have to dig through my bag.
I'd have to pull out my computer.
Okay, the screen is not working? That will.
I think I could probably do it here.
There we go. Nope.
No, not now, no. I feel like it was from Moab. I don't even think that is.
It's on.
Okay, this is just right there. I think we have to close it and bring it in.
I'm coming over now.
I do.
He was actually the
Thank
one
you.
who was coughing.
Any stories, Daniel? Can you tell us any stories?
Oh, I have full of stories.
How's your soccer team doing?
Yeah, how's Provo's girls soccer team?
We haven't started yet.
No, that's,
We haven't started yet. It's gonna take some time.
he'll start training them in the summer.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so it looks like it's not gonna. Maybe it's time. It's time
We
to
were
call
just
Tyler.
talking about this, David. This is your one time to shine.
Maybe this is karma for speaking ill of his.
Our assistant too can't get here soon enough.
I'm
You have
pulling
it?
up.
Okay. All right. So
You're okay, David.
let's
love ya.
transport
We know where it's
ourselves to the northeast corner of the two boulevards. Okay. So if we think about it, we have what Central Bank is, just north of Central Bank. The only corner of the boulevards that hasn't been developed. I mean, there's another one that is not developed, but we know chicken sandwich place is gonna go there. So that's the property in front of it again. Okay.
If you have the name up on the fence,
You can say Chick-fil-A.
it's okay.
No, I don't think I can say it correctly. So that's the problem. Chick-fil-A. So it's the property south of Summit Pizza. That property that is right there. Okay. So what's going on is the applicant, the property owner, Pete Rossi, working with Right Development. They're working on a site plan right now. So we have the application. We're going through their second or third round of comments, and it's going to be three buildings with drive-throughs. Okay, but in order to put 3 buildings with drive-throughs, they need to use they need some parking. So on the existing road that is on the west side of the property, okay, that kind of like local road, they're asking for a sliver of that property to be purchased so they can put some parking in there. So the city, we own the street, but we also own the property next to it, which is a detention facility. So they're not gonna touch our detention facility. They're gonna just carve a little bit part of the road. They're gonna realign the road, and that's what they're gonna do in order to be able to accommodate 3 buildings with enough parking for, to meet the requirements for the site.
So the drive-throughs are gonna be on the side.
It's good?
Parking is going to be on the west side?
Yes. How about this?
And I'm
Okay.
looking at that.
So, and I'm sorry for the public that won't be able to see it.
Can you try pointing all last time?
One last time?
Sure.
Here we go. Anticipation.
I heard a noise.
Heard a noise.
It's my computer, it's connecting. So, as we can see right there, sorry, this looks small. I'm still gonna speak on the microphone, okay? This is Central Bank right here. Central Bank. And this is where Chick-fil-A will go, and we're talking about this right here, okay? This parcel is our detention facility, okay? So they're gonna do 3 buildings inside this area right here. 3 buildings right here, tun, tun. However, they still need a little bit more parking. So what they're gonna do is get a little sliver on the north side, on the other side of the street, and that's where they're gonna put some parking stalls. I'm gonna show you an image.
And that doesn't affect the drainage? Is
No,
that-
not at all.
Okay.
Well,
Not
they're
at all,
gonna-
because they won't touch,
Across the street.
they won't touch it at all. So it's gonna be like that.
Kind of busy.
So as you can see, this is the road, and they're realigning the road, and that's the sliver of land that they're taking with the
So
parking.
they're realigning the road so they won't have to cross the road?
Correct.
Okay, got it.
Well, they will have to cross.
They have to cross. They have to cross. So people who park here will have to cross, but they don't have to. They won't cross into our detention facility at all.
So I just want to make sure, because I think that has like it's a one-way in, one-way out, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so people are coming off of the freeway, and then they come down North County Boulevard, and then they can pull in there, and if they wanted to go up to like Summit Pizza's parking in the grid for the back way, that's what you're talking about, right?
But that will stay the same. It's not that one. Yeah, I wish it would work. But so that road still will stay exactly the same. This one right here.
I understand that, but it's the road off of North County Boulevard, right?
Yes.
Yes, this
Yes,
one right
that-
here.
Yeah, and people will be walking across that to access the restaurants, right?
Correct. Mm-hmm. Yes. That's the.
Yeah, it seems.
Yeah,
dangerous.
they're working on it, but they need that area. So they need that area in order to accommodate extra parking for what they're proposing. We're still working on the site plan, so we don't have the site plan right now. But in order for their site plan that they're proposing right now, they will need to purchase that property.
So you had that property in red.
Mm-hmm.
So are they buying the road and that property in
No,
red?
just the property in red,
So
which
they'll
is
have- The road will be ours still, and then they'll have a sliver on the other side of the road.
correct.
This, I mean,
Huge fan of that.
this goes way back. This used to be where McDonald's was thinking of going at one time. And what's facilitating this is what I'm thinking is because they're doing 3 buildings on this instead of 1, which would have probably taken care of the parking, but yeah.
That's correct. That's
So
correct.
my only hesitation in this is just the safety of people crossing that road.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Crossing which
at that
road?
point,
Well, they're crossing,
So they're eating over here,
gonna cross this
they're parking over here, they're gonna cross a road, so it is a right in, and it is a right out.
The site plan that I saw had the parking on the side of the road
We're
that
all-
the buildings are gonna be on, is that
no,
not?
it's on the other side. It's on the other side. Yeah, it's on the other side. However, what I want to say is like whether they push the road right here, okay, because they can push the road right here or something like this. Right now, they need that space, either for realignment of the road or for parking. So right now, we're not approving the site plan. They're still working on the site plan. That's a comment that we can put on the site plan. But for either or, they need extra land to accommodate the parking. Okay.
I think all of us are okay with the sale of the property if it makes sense for the city
Yes.
from a drainage perspective, and from an economic development perspective. But that road's a little weird. I mean, if we're selling a property on that would be the
Opposite side.
the northwest side of
Correct.
of
Yes.
that property,
Mm-hmm.
to accommodate the parking, that means any type of restaurant that's gonna be in there is gonna have to park on the other side of the street and walk across the road to
So that what something that they can do. Again, I'm showing you kind of like they're in the early stages of their site plan. So this is not like we're not approving exactly this. So they either need it for parking right here or right here. That's something that we still can work on it. But what they need that extra land. Whether the parking, because if they push the parking on the south, we're gonna call it the south area, then they will need to realign the road. And they can do something like that. Probably they just have to.
I mean, if we approve this,
They can do whatever.
they can do whatever they want.
No. This is just the purchase of the land. That's it.
Can I clarify? There's conditions of sale, if you'll look in the sales agreement. And one of the conditions is this will not be recorded and it will not close until a plat has been done and the site plan's been approved.
Daniel, how many proposed sites are on the normal plot side? Not in the red, but where they're putting the buildings. How many are proposed there?
How many normal what?
Parking stalls.
I don't have the count right now. Again, we're on the early stages of the site plan, so I don't have it. Yeah,
How many
it hasn't
are-
even gone to planning commission yet. Just to give you an idea.
They haven't got enough room to put parking on.
Yeah.
They're gonna just realign that road, is what it looks like to me.
Probably they will have to do something like that. Yeah,
Because there's not enough room over there to put a parking stall.
correct.
So they're not putting parking over there, okay?
So would we
We'll have to see.
anticipate like a land swap, our road for that land that we just sold to them? So then they can put our road back over there and they can have our land?
That's
Like, that was what would make sense to me.
To me as well. So this is again, we're going on the second round of comments of this one. It hasn't gone to planning commission yet, so they're still working even on the where the buildings will be located and something like that. It still needs to get approval of the plat first, meaning that changing the property lines, and of the site plan after. You have to go to planning commission. You will have to come to city council, regardless
I
of the.
don't see anywhere in the sales agreement that that's documented.
So other terms of sale, subsection 2, the buyer will hire a surveyor to prepare the legal description. City will not execute the quitclaim deed until the buyer has submitted and received approval for the new subdivision plat to combine the two parcels, and city will sign and record the quitclaim deed just before recording the subdivision plat, and the new plat will include an access easement in favor of the city to access the existing storm drain facility for maintenance and repair.
So I see that, but nothing in there about road realignment or,
Well, that will come.
Well, that will
Come with
come.
the site
That's
plan.
not-
So,
okay.
Tina, can you answer this? Because again, we only have this one picture. We don't even have the proposed, because they're going to do the survey, I guess. But they're not going to be contiguous pieces. So how do they combine that into one, how do they combine them into one parcel? That's what you just read. It says we're not going to execute the quitclaim deed until they propose a subdivision combining the two parcels into one.
Well, they have to combine what we're selling them into the parcel they already own.
I know, but that's going to be on the other side of the road.
No, I think the road is moving over there. See, that's
Well,
what
what
we don't know.
Daniel's showing us though, right, is that their parcel would be on one side? Or I
This
guess I'm
image, this image that I'm showing you is just focused on the red sliver. That's it. That's what they need. Okay. So I'm not saying that there's going to be a parking right here or the building is going to be right there. That's just I'm showing you the size of the sliver of what they need.
And I think we all understand what's being requested, and none of us have a problem with it. It just is a little weird that we're being asked to, two or three steps down the road, that we're assuring that happens, or that we're trusting, better yet,
They
we're.
can't do it
Well,
without
if
this.
we tell them no, then they're done. They're
No,
gone.
no, we, that's why we're saying we want to have this happen, but, we don't like the idea of selling them.
Would you rather see it further on the process? That's what I'm hearing.
Well, can I ask a legal question, Tina? So, if we approve this today, is it possible for them to then develop the parcel they have and then put parking on the other side of the road? Is it possible for them to shoehorn that in through planning and saying, hey, you can't reject this proposal because we're meeting all of the other ordinances, so you have to approve our land, our site plan? Or can we say, no, you can't put that over there, you do have the property, so let's do a land swap? I'm just wondering legally, if we approve this, could they put parking on the other side of the road and force approval of the site plan?
What I suggest based on the information that I'm getting right now, So probably I suggest then that we continue this item, okay? I talk to the applicant, and I bring you guys a site plan of exactly how it's gonna look like.
Or we can, or we can just continue it, and I'll add one more section to conditions of sale that just says that they can't have parking on the whatever side, we don't want them to cross across to the buildings, and it's contingent upon our site plan approval.
That'd be good. I mean, otherwise, I mean, it's a big expense for them to reroute that road.
It is.
And we're trusting that that'll happen, and I'm not sure I trust.
I'd be
developers
comfortable with
much.
that, with Tina, your solution, I think
Yeah, I
I'm
am too.
totally comfortable.
Yeah, I'll just add another paragraph to the conditions of sale and put it on the next agenda.
Okay.
I think that's the easiest way to address the
Is
concerns.
that gonna mix, I don't think UDOT's in that.
No.
If you try to mess with that
That's a
in
city
and
road.
out, UDOT's could have some say on that, right?
Well, we're not asking them to mess with the in and out.
Well, I'm just saying if we said you're gonna have to reroute that road a little bit, does UDOT come into play at all? Because it's coming off of North County Boulevard.
I think it's fair that we, probably I can get you guys a better,
Yeah.
a more exact to how the site plan is gonna look. Instead of just showing you that parcel, probably I'm gonna show you. Just keep in mind though, that we're not approving a site plan, but it will show us how this is gonna actually play in context of what we're trying to sell, okay?
Yeah, and I think it could be summed up as, we want to get them the property they need to make a workable site plan.
Yes.
That is our point of view.
But as a mom, parking and running across that road with my 8 children would be a
Yeah,
nightmare.
and the drawing that I got again is just to show you
Yeah.
that one, but it feels, gives us peace of mind and it's a better understanding. I'll make sure I get a more accurate site plan, if I can say it like that.
We just want to get them the property they need.
Sounds like a plan, yes.
Yeah, they're proposing to buy the 3,284 square feet, and they're paying $59,000 for it.
Do you want this continued to a date
Yeah,
certain?
yes, next.
Or do we approve upon the condition
that's what I'm
that
wondering.
that there is,
Additional sale on the sale contract.
Well, I would prefer that you have a completed agreement before you approve it. So continue it for 2 weeks until the next meeting.
all right?
I'll add that to the conditions of sale, and it'll be all complete and ready for the mayor's signature.
Okay, then, Mayor, I'll make a motion to continue item 10A to a date certain in 2 weeks until our next meeting.
We have a motion by Councilmember Jensen. Do we have a second by Councilmember Williams?
Yep.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we've continued for 2 weeks, so thank you. Motion carries. Well, let's see if our last item can go through without any hitches here. On
Well,
B,
Thanks for your vote of confidence there, Mayor.
we never know.
We just wanted people to park on the right side of the restaurant.
Need safety.
The only thing because when I looked at that and I saw, well, I see exactly what they're gonna do. They just gotta move that road over, so they need that property.
We just want to force them to make sure.
And you wanna
'cause
make
we
sure
don't-
they do that. I understand that, but I can see their, okay, let's move to B, 10, consider for approving a permit to exceed the noise ordinance for Geneva Rock Products Incorporated for the purpose of performing pavement preservation activities, placing level course, scrub seal, microsurfacing beginning at 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. on May the 1st, 2025 through August the 31st, 2025 at various city locations. And we'll now beat up on our Public Works Director.
Coming to a backyard near you.
Here, you-
Yeah, so road construction isn't always convenient, and sometimes with deadlines and sometimes with traffic, we need to perform the work at night. And that can be true even in a residential neighborhood. So as our ordinance requires, we're asking for a variance to perform the work that might be needed. And they've already started to do some of the leveling course, and then the next phase will be the chip seal, and then the next phase will be the microsurface. So that's all associated with this year's road rehabilitation project.
So they're not anticipating doing all this at night. It's just some nights they'll have to have that due. Is that correct?
There's actually no nights scheduled as of right now. But let's say a piece of equipment dies down and you've got hot oil or something, things come up, and we want to have that option and have that variance in place and be prepared for that, so yeah.
Can we do like midnight to 6 a.m.?
Is that better?
Is that better? How do we turn off the trucks backup beepers? That's what
The
I'm,
ordinance is 10, so that's why we start at 10 and then go through.
you want to go all night?
Yes.
If needed.
Is that what you're talking?
We don't want to put a halt on progress if something is needed.
Emergency.
That can really.
So is this, yeah, but that's the question. Is this emergency or is this,
It would be in an emergency situation, correct.
Because they
Uh,
don't.
we-
So he doesn't have to
We
come
did
back
the
to us.
same variance last year, and we didn't end up needing it, except for on 1300 West, where we did perform some work at night to avoid the traffic.
okay. We did approve it last year?
We did, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I'll just note, I think, I'm reading this right, Neil, is that they do have to give notice if they're going to work at night,
Yeah, I mean,
so I think that's
as
fair.
much notice as we can. Let's say that they're out there working, it's 5 o'clock, there's trucks, they're scheduled, they can get the truck up and not waste the oil that's out or something. It may happen, we'll give them as much notice as possible, but if it's planned, then 24 hours notice is what is required, that's correct.
Okay.
And maybe we make a motion to keep Mayor's
Okay.
Road closed for another 6 months, I don't know.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to,
Well, let's,
Nothing,
anything else for Neil?
no.
Okay, make the
make a
motion.
motion to approve the permit to exceed the noise ordinance for Geneva Rock Products for the purpose of performing pavement preservation activities, placing level course, scrub seal, and microsurfacing beginning at 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. from May 1st to August 31st at various city locations.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Williams. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Anderson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Well, that concludes all of our action items for this evening, so we'll go back and finish from our work session.
Okay, we're gonna go a little bit out of order here, just because Megan has to be somewhere. It's her show tonight. So she went through the Capitol, but we do have some amended fees that we'd like to propose to you, and almost all of them are recreation-related. A lot of this is kind of cleanup and things that we've been working on to try to get a semblance of continuity in what we're doing with our recreation fees. So I'll have Megan give you the details, but we're gonna have her go next. This is in your packet. It is the pages, oh, sorry, Denise is gonna hand them to you.
Packet number 2.
It is not in our packet. We have amended fees.
Normally, this is like a 70-page document. We're just giving you the ones that are proposed.
You're giving us a chapter every week.
I like it better when it's the Neil show, so I don't know how I feel about it tonight, but, yeah, okay, good. All right, so, just like Scott said, most of this is kind of, well, I've done a lot of analysis in the last couple of months. I couldn't make total sense of where the fee schedule was up until this point. So for membership fees, we'll start there. You can see what the current fee is, and then the far right is what we're proposing. So a couple of numbers to consider in there. What the current fee is does not include taxes. What we would like to adopt is including the taxes in our membership fee. So if you think you're going to pay $300 for a family pass, you come in and pay $300. And we don't add, the tax comes out of that, not on top of that. In addition to that, what I did was I did some analysis between other cities, and then also just looking at all of our membership passes to make the percentage discount when you go from semi-annual to annual the same. So, right, if you buy 6 months, one at a time, maybe it costs you $100, but I wanted that discount that if you bought the 6 months all at once to be consistent. So it was anywhere from like a 20% to a 35%. The numbers were kind of all over the place. So what we see here is that semi-annual, when you buy 6 months at one point or at one time, it gives you essentially a 20% discount. Annual gives you a 35% discount. So that's the other number. Those are the other adjustments in those numbers. The other thing is the non-resident fees. We're also all over the place as far as the percentage increase there. It's now just a blanket 25% increase is the non-resident fees. So that does, some of the numbers are a little bit wonky. Some of them are kind of a decent increase. Some of them are not so much of an increase because of whatever percentage they started out as. Now it's all equalized into the 20 and 35% and 25%. Does that make sense?
It does, and I appreciate you clarity, and I appreciate the increase of the non-residents, quite candidly. That always bothered me, that if you didn't pay Pleasant Grove taxes, you could sneak in for a couple bucks more a month.
Sure.
And that's not where we need to be, so I appreciate that.
And if we look at the potential revenue adjustments, the biggest increase does come from that non-resident. So,
As it should.
yeah, so, you know, that's based on if truly we sell the same number of passes last year as we do this year, right? Like, and we may see adjustment with these changes in pricing, but,
Do you know what the current resident, non-resident percentages are?
no, not off the top of my head.
Just maybe if you get a chance sometime
'Kay.
next week,
Yeah.
just email me.
Yeah, I can do that. So that's kind of what happened there, mostly in the membership pricing. We did add the disability pass. We're just serving a lot more of the adaptive community, so that's a new pass that we didn't previously have. That, you know, we were telling people you can come in on the senior rate, but now we're advertising that so they know there's a pass specific for them.
What age is that, just a friend wants to know?
Any age.
The senior or the
senior.
I
the
see.
se-
The senior.
Oh, no, I can't, honestly, I don't, 65, I don't even know what it is
It's-
off the
it's
top of
you.
my head. Yeah,
Silver
It
sneakers.
says 55 plus.
okay, thanks.
I think everybody but me, maybe?
That means it's me.
Probably.
Well done, well played.
That's too good.
We know who the kid is in the room.
The one other caveat I'm going to mention is if you were to do the percentages on both senior rates and student, those discounts are higher. It's a 30% and a 40% as opposed to the 20 and 35%. So just because of that demographic and their lack of limited income or the discretionary income, we gave them a little bit bigger discount on the student passes and the senior passes.
So that's an interesting discrepancy between those two fees.
Yeah.
I would probably advocate for lower senior couple pass or senior individual pass,
Uh-huh.
equal to or similar to a student pass.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I can run some numbers and take a look at that.
Okay,
I mean,
so you're saying raise the senior?
Lower the senior.
Lower the senior to reflect more of a student pass.
So the senior is lower.
No.
No.
Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong column. 159, oh, it changed. I was looking at the current fee schedule.
Okay.
So right now it is.
Well, no, the senior
student-
couple pass is 159, 255, and student annual is 123, 178.
Yes, yeah, I'm right, yeah.
Yeah,
So
but the
so
senior
lower the-
individual
Lower
is
the senior
94.
pass to reflect a similar student pass.
Oh, yeah, there you go. That's the difference
Just
you're mentioning,
Look
Steve.
at the line right above the student pass.
individual-
You're looking at individual, you're looking at a couple pass, that's why it's more money.
Two people.
But if you're looking at a senior individual pass, it's $94, and the student pass is $123.
Got it.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
thank you. We were looking at the couple.
Got it, perfect.
And the disability pass follows the senior rates as well there, so.
And what does it take to prove disability pass?
Yeah, we don't ask for proof.
Question.
Yeah, legally we can't.
good.
But they walk in and say they need that, and it gets them a +1, so somebody comes in with them at no additional cost.
And we do have the current fees on there, so Todd, to your question, if you want to look at what the current fees are from residential to non-residential, it's on there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And current fees do not include taxes on that
Correct.
column.
So 7.45% increase on that column is tax. And then if it's above the 7.45%, it was just to get it to that 20% change or 35%.
Yeah, so I'm looking at like the family pass, basically you just put the taxes into it.
Yeah.
And there's no real increase.
Right.
It's probably-
There might be a tiny bit
Yeah.
I think if we looked at those exact numbers, but yeah, it's very,
I don't think they're, yeah, so, okay.
Denise?
The other thing is everything is not taxable, so as you're looking at pages later on, passes, the state tax commission say they're taxable, but when you get to like an enrichment class, they are not taxable. So it'll just be cleaner, but right now our passes are, like Funshine isn't taxable, the enrichment, but, your passes are, so just a reminder of that.
Interesting.
so on the next couple of pages, most of what's reflecting there, I guess, I'll kind of jump to the daily admission fees. We're just kind of evening out, so like an adult currently is $350 to come in for the day, we're going to $4, so we're just evening out those numbers. Most other rec centers are $5 or $6 or $7, but they have an indoor pool. So we are also taking that into consideration, that we shouldn't be the same as what they are because we don't have an indoor pool. But then when you get to like special events, mostly they're just been added because they're new things that we've brought to the rec center in the last year or two. So those are a couple of small changes there. Enrichment, most of those changes are just to cover costs. Like, I mean, that's cooking class, right? Everything's more expensive. Our eggs are super expensive, so we're just covering costs there a little bit more. When it comes to sports, really what we've done in sports there is just take an analysis on each one of those to make sure we're covering our costs and we're in line with what other cities are also charging. Some of these have not been increased for I don't even know how many years. So we should have been keeping up with some kind of increase as we go, little here and there. So like, I mean, if you look at co-ed slow pitch for adult sports, it's a $100 team fee increase. But that's truly what it takes to cover our costs and offset umpire costs that have increased and so forth. So, but it also is comparable to what other cities are doing as well. So it's not outpricing us. So, any questions on sports or any of those others, really? Say that again, what?
The pavilion, the pavilion rental.
Yeah, I haven't been a part of the Cook Family Pavilion conversations.
I think Deion's been handling that. The big question we get is when can we start reserving it? So I prefer it gets built and then we can worry about reserving it. That's kind of where my head's at, which it should be taken care of here probably in the next 3 weeks, and then we'll start figuring out the rental side of that.
Can I just, I don't know how the rest of the council feels, but I'm wondering if those fees are too low.
For Cook Family Pavilion Park?
Well, oh, okay, hold on. Now that I'm reading this right, so if you're a commercial entity, it's substantially more. How do we determine whether someone is using it for a business or a commercial entity or for a family party?
Yeah, so, I mean, it's kind of through the rental process. I mean, we deal with that right now at the rec center. You know, they have to fill out a questionnaire essentially of what they're renting it for. I mean, so they could lie and say, we're doing it for a birthday party. And we find out it's,
A ward party
yeah, some kind of business, right?
or a business party.
It's a coach who's using it.
That's my, yeah.
Right, yeah, so, I mean, we can continue to look at those processes. Even now at the rec center, the rental processes, I'm adjusting constantly. Like, we didn't used to have proof of residency, so when I'd have a commercial that claimed they were, now I've started saying, I want proof of residency.
Okay, good.
So we can continue to look at those types of things, but, you know, when it, yeah, if you're commercial, I want proof that you're resident, and if you're not,
Give me a Gmail address.
right,
We know.
yeah,
Yeah, that's because that's just not right for businesses to come in, especially non-resident businesses.
right.
To come in and take that away from our residents.
We also have, we really could put together, I mean, it depends on how popular this is, which I think it will be, but we could put together a policy that says, number one is families, residents, that's gonna get the priority. Number two is nonprofit, whatever, right? You can break down rentals. We can create some kind of a policy that gives priority to the groups that we want to, if that's,
No, I mean,
you know.
we trust you, but I think, let's just kind of look at some of those. Those were some thoughts that
Yeah,
came to mind.
no, that makes sense, that's good.
I just wanted to point out, I think under that Cook Park Pavilion rental, we've got
The half-day,
a typo, the
Yeah.
half and the full day is swapped there.
yeah, I think you're right, I was just noticing it. Half-day says 200, full day says 100.
So everyone would always do a full day.
Yeah, I think those numbers just need to swap.
But yeah, I think that's swapped.
Cheaper to go full. It's a deal. Okay, any other questions on fees for the rec center? Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Good job, Megan.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
They're pretty small, so I tried to break them out by department. We got a little change, so nothing too significant. And then you'll see the utility is on the back, but that's
the utility rates. Scott's gonna talk a little bit about that. So those are just all the changes that are gonna happen in the fee schedule. So I don't think there's anything too big. The rec definitely was the biggest ones, so, but you'll have those to look at. So I only gave you the changes. There's like, it's an 18-page document, so. So if you have any questions after you look at them, you can call me or give me an email.
And we'll bring that back up in 2 weeks. We'll have the fee schedule again for you to comment on.
I haven't even dug into it. I don't even know.
I don't have a presentation.
They're playing.
It's personal, Scott, it's personal now, Scott.
Uh-huh. I think we're okay. I don't think we need to worry about that tonight.
Let's do it again.
Okay, so just another loose end that the council requested from a couple weeks ago was the custodial numbers. We did receive earlier today a response from one of the providers that does this building on what it would take for them to contract out our custodial. That number was way more intensive than what I anticipated. I anticipated we were going to get kind of just one number and say this is what it would cost us, but it had it broken down by building, by event, and it was quite intensive. The number came in quite high, and I want to vet that number before we present it to you. So since we just got it at noon today, my preference is that we vet the number and make sure that we're comparing apples to apples, and that we'll bring this back to you in 2 weeks with a recommendation on how we feel in regards to what that number looks like and what our costs are. So, sorry, wish we had that today, but we were just late in getting that number, so we'll review that in a couple weeks. So with that being said, there's not really any changes based on what you've seen, unless there's comments on. We do have a page of the personnel and operational supplementary summary, and this breaks down the operational costs that's on the one-pager. We do have the capital request, which we went over the recreation stuff. Is there any questions or comments on any of the items on this list? I know we've talked about this our last two meetings, but is there anything that jumps out or any questions that you have in regards to this list?
Council?
Not right now.
No.
Okay.
Well,
next-
so
oh,
I
go
just
ahead.
my only comment is on the recreation stuff. I mean, I think that there's some unknowns there.
Yeah.
And so I think in 2 weeks, we're supposed to adopt a tentative budget. Is that-
Tentative, yeah.
So I would appreciate some maybe the information that we kind of talked about with some of the changes in those projects with the rec, because there's some, like the audio visual and things like that, there's some significant capital asks there, so
So,
not
I
quite
mean,
ready to
generally
vote on
this
a
is-
budget yet.
Yeah, so generally, how we handle this is, what's here is what will be put into the tentative. The tentative needs to be adopted per law, but then if there are changes, even in that very meeting, I mean, we'll do budget in the work session, we're gonna adopt the tentative budget, except there's a actual document that Denise needs to prepare. Since we don't know exactly what the council's feedback is going to be on some of these, on the recreation stuff, I mean, for the tentative, right now is what would be in there. But then if we, in our work session, you say, okay, we want the audio cut back this amount, we want this cut back this amount, we want this eliminated, then we will make that adjustment. I don't know if it's possible to make that in just an amendment, that you could make that after the fact, not that day, but.
Well, I mean, I'll just say for my part, I would vote no on a tentative budget that has these numbers. So I'd rather start low and then we can work up high to higher. So I know it's not how it's typically been done, but just,
Yeah.
you know, it's just like some of the other stuff we've talked about, like worst case scenario, if we don't change it, then that is the budget that
Yeah.
goes into play in June. So just kind of giving you a heads up, I don't want to be,
No, fair enough.
but it
Fair
would be a
enough.
no for me with these numbers, so.
Yeah, I guess if that's the suggestion, you want it all zeroed out?
I don't want it zeroed out. I think that, I mean, if there's some numbers that can be adjusted, like 290, I I'm probably at somewhere around 50 for the 2 exercise rooms.
Well, here's the deal. It's hard
So-
for us to just guess what you want to be put into the
I'm telling you right
budget.
now.
Yeah,
I would vote yes on 50, I'd vote no on 290.
okay.
So, and I'm
what you get to do.
wondering if there's a tier, phased, for the audio at the rec center, if there was a annual, like if we did 50,000 annually for 4
Yeah,
years.
4 years.
Is
then
it
we
a,
could-
is it a project that we can build on? Yeah.
Well, since it's so old, and if
Yeah.
we just did a couple of exercise rooms, and then we did, because I think at one point, we would love to do the gyms as well, but if it was like 50,000 annually, because 290 is hard for audio.
Yeah. Well, I told Scott that there was some boom boxes at Costco.
Hey, Scott,
There was a portion where he thought I was,
I have seen her original spreadsheet. She has it, I think Megan could do that. Because she has it all by gym, she has it all. There's gonna be some
Yeah.
base costs they're gonna have to do regardless if they do 2 rooms or whatever, but
And
she
she-
has a
yeah,
breakdown.
but maybe we do the base cost this year,
Yeah.
right?
So she does have a breakdown
Yeah,
like that.
and she said that it was really, really detailed.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I guess, okay, this is just all logistics. What I'm hearing from you, I understand what you're saying. What I'm reflecting back is,
And I
here is the logistics of how this works. We need to create a document with the numbers in it for adoption for a tentative budget. It is a tentative budget, it's not a final budget. We have to put numbers in there. We can zero it out and just say, because I don't know what the number is. You're saying 50, I don't know if everybody has a number in their
You
mind.
mean zero out just that line item?
Yes.
Okay.
So instead of 290, it's 0. And then if the council wants to come back in that meeting and say, okay, because now you've seen, you're not going to see Megan's information till at least tomorrow. And then you're not going to have an opportunity to publicly debate it or
Discourse.
discuss it. Okay? You will next meeting, but Denise will already have created the tentative budget. And when I'm hearing Steve says, look, if it's got the numbers in it, it's a no vote for me, okay?
I'm okay working to it. 290 is an awful lot for,
Well, maybe there's some items in there that are absolutes that would help, right? Maybe
Yeah.
50,000, I don't, and then the rest can be worked on next year or two.
So,
But
yeah.
there's got to be some absolutes in there. I don't know.
Well, maybe so
we
the
don't know what it is.
tentative is 50.
Okay, so if what I'm hearing you is for that specific line item, we plug in 50,000 as a placeholder.
Okay.
You're gonna see Megan's numbers. You can come back, at least for the budget document, it will say 50.
Right.
And you can take a look at it and be like, well, no, we want more or less than that, then we can fix that on the back. Again, this is a tentative
Well,
budget.
and because we don't know what we're gonna get for 50, there may be, there,
That won't even do the basic,
I
probably.
know, so.
well, we don't know.
That's what, so.
Again, this is, this is logistics.
Well, we can add to it with that meeting.
You can add or you can take away.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just logistics, in my mind, okay, in my opinion.
Wait, so you don't have that document, Denise? Okay.
No, she has it, but we don't know your feedback on,
No, I'm saying the RFP or the quote of the,
Oh,
She
yeah,
has it.
it's not an actual quote, it was someone who she walked through, but
Yes.
Megan has a really good idea
so
of,
I would like to know what the base,
Yeah.
what that base number is.
Why don't you just, council, why don't you just put 100,000 in there? That's a kick down from where it's at now, and we just leave that one in there for now and see what comes up in her thing, and maybe it'll end up 150.
or
it'll
maybe
be
50.
yeah.
I mean,
Or
that
even
number
back
can
to
go up or
50.
down. Right now,
Yeah,
it's
back to
just a
50.
placeholder.
I'm good with that. Steve, you okay with that?
I don't know, because I understand, like, on the back end, it's a placeholder.
Uh-huh.
On the front end, for us, it's a vote for $290,000 capital project. That's what it is.
Sure.
And so
It is.
that's what I'm struggling with, is looking at my residents saying, okay, hey, you're paying more for water, you're paying more for everything else, and we're gonna put 100 grand or 290 grand. I don't think that we're talking about that anymore,
Yeah.
but we're gonna put 100 grand, nearly $500,000 into aesthetics for the rec center. So I guess that's the vote that, for me, is the no vote.
Yeah.
And so if we say $100,000, that's still a vote to put $100,000 on my side of the table,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's where it's difficult without the information. So I learned this from last year, that the tentative budget doesn't change very much from the final budget. And so I
I
think.
mean, it does if the council says it does.
So for me, the vote is a difficult one to put in 100 grand. I also think with the flooring, I think she mentioned that she can do the whole floor now instead of for 180 and phasing it, she can do
For
the whole
90,
floor for
yeah.
90. So I think we'd see that change as well, right?
Well, it
So-
just, the number in the budget doesn't change. We just change it from phase one to
To final.
flooring. It will
Yeah.
just say flooring 90,000.
And then the front desk remodel was another one where I was like, man, 55K. I get that they're wanting to redo it, but I don't know what we're getting for that. So again,
So that's why I'm asking, okay, I heard from you 50. If that's the placeholder number that can get us an adopted budget?
Well, we won't know until we
We
see
won't
this
know.
thing, right?
I would
So-
vote yes on 50. That's what I'll say to you,
Okay.
Scott.
Well, okay, what's the other three that are here? Where do you want to put the,
Well, it's really just a starting point, right? I mean, we could see these numbers and the 50 could turn into 68 or 72.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, so
Wait, say
it's
that
hard for
again,
me
Eric.
to,
Say it again.
well, again, we could say 50 and then we could end up being 68,000, right? Because we could come to a consensus and say, yeah, okay, they can get a lot of things done for 68,000. I'm just throwing these numbers out, right? Or we could say 99,000, right? And it's legit. Until I see those numbers, then I don't know why we even have to throw a number out. Just throw us that information and then we'll go from there.
Got one council member saying I need 50,000 in there. I've got one that says,
Well,
I'm
72
open to
doesn't
this
matter to me.
conversation.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
We're being asked to throw a number out that would be okay to spend, not knowing
What it is.
at all what it is we're
Getting.
going to spend it on. Our experience is that we say a number and typically we're under that number.
yes,
Almost regularly, we're under that
generally
number.
speaking, yes.
So when we say, what was the project amount that?
290.
290. I'd bet my house that it's gonna be less than that, given my experience. But I don't know what I get for, I don't know.
50.
For 50. I don't know. So
That's what I'm
if-
saying,
if-
is there a problem just saying we're open for the conversation next time?
Well, let me do this.
Is that okay?
No, seriously. We'll just put a 0 in there.
Okay, great.
Because we
fine
can
with
always build it back in. I
Right.
guessing that will give everybody a comfort level.
Great.
That doesn't cause me consternation
Okay,
as a city manager, because we will have a couple more conversations before we adopt our final budget. Because the important thing is you need information so that you can make a final decision. By law, we're required to adopt a tentative budget, so we need a number.
let's do that.
So if that number's 0, and I don't know, did you want to 0 out the front desk remodel as well?
No, I'm okay. I'm okay with that one.
I'm too.
I mean, we're missing a council member on all these discussions, so it'd probably be when the next council member, we say, this is an important meeting, we're gonna hash some things out, here we go, right? And I don't think it's gonna be that hard to hash some of these numbers out, I don't, once we see.
Yeah, actually.
I agree. It's just the lack of information.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For what we're getting and what the
Yeah.
ask is
That's
for.
right.
Well, and it's the timing, Steve. I mean, it's the timing of, I mean, if we didn't have to adopt a tentative budget on May 6th, then we're okay. We just keep going until we whittle it down to where we want it to be. So I think the best thing to do is we'll just 0 it out.
Okay.
And then we'll work with you. You'll arrive at a number, and you can give us that in the work session. You'll still adopt the tentative budget with the 0 in there, but then the next copy that you see, it will be whatever number you decide.
Yeah,
for
and
that.
tell her that we'd love to see it in the meantime. If she wants to get to us tomorrow or this week.
I think the plan is she'll send it to you right away.
Yeah, that'd
Because
be
she
great.
already has it. It's just
Yeah,
she just
that'd
has to
be-
forward it to you.
That'd be great. Okay, thanks, Scott.
Okay. Anything else on capital? Let's go to utility rates. We, I think, got a lot of this resolved 2 weeks ago. We had our March proposed number, which was $9.28 a month. This is on average. This isn't for everybody, but that would be an average bill in our city. Through working with our garbage hauler, we were able to get them negotiated down from where they were at. And then we also made a tweak to the sewer rate, because right now, all of this being proposed is a pass-on to TSSD. Before, we had a small portion that was going to go to our city budget. We've taken that portion out, so now we have it just under $8, $7.95 per month. You still have our garbage rates and stuff on the bottom, we just left that on there. We did look at the second can, as requested by Councilmember Rogers, because our margin is a little bit higher on that. We do have, what'd you say, 2,800 second cans? I mean, if we reduce that by $1, that takes $30-some thousand out of our budget. Just because we have a decent margin there, I wouldn't recommend lowering that. That is funds that we need, particularly in our garbage fund, to fund our tipping fees, also to fund our spring and fall cleanup. So while on paper, it looks like, hey, there's a healthy margin there, I mean, those are just dollars. Those are dollars that we use. So, so any questions on utilities?
Just the unlawful opening of the meter box, was that a current fee?
Are you looking on the fee schedule?
Yeah.
So we currently have a fee for that, and we're raising it.
Is that the new secondary meter box?
Oh, this is just, people, so we'll turn somebody's water off, and then they'll go in and turn their water on.
Back on. Mhm.
And so there's a penalty for that.
I am okay with that, all right.
The other thing
I
that
don't
you
have any questions.
probably see on that same page is something else that we're gonna be looking at doing. Don't really have a policy, but we can also get meters that we can shut off remotely for people who decide to.
For Eric?
Yeah, people who get in their meter box and turn it off consistently, then we'll have a mechanism to do that also. And
Is that-
the cost is the meter.
Has
It
that
happens
been a
more than
problem?
you would think about people
Yeah,
in
that's
their
been a
meter
problem.
box, turning their water on and off. But
This is not a large majority of our citizens.
No.
These are
You'd be
people,
surprised how many people want to steal water from us.
know how many
people
are sharing your Netflix.
yeah.
Well, can I ask
Yeah,
if I'm just
yeah.
missing something? Where's the transportation and utility fee?
I didn't show it because these are all changes. That's not changing.
That's staying the
Yeah.
same.
I can share, could send you guys the whole schedule.
It's
just-
not in here either, right?
No, I
No.
just included the ones we are changing.
yeah, we weren't recommending a change for
So I can
transportation
set the
utility
fee
fee.
schedule I can send out.
$865?
No, it's 6, because we reduced it. I don't know if you remember, we had our initial
Oh, that's
rate,
right.
I
which
can
was
tell
like
you what it is. Give me a
845,
sec.
and then we reduced it by 20% when we
670.
reinstituted it.
And it's not included in the 198 in the box on
No,
the
it's not.
proposed either, right? Okay, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
not,
the total bill would be just, probably just under $200,
yeah, I can tell you.
if that's what you're asking.
Residential is $6.76.
Okay, so on the next page was just clarification on how much we generate revenue-wise for our different enterprise funds. On the far right column is showing how much additional revenue would be generated. So for instance, in our culinary water, it would be about close to $180,000 of new revenue.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Sorry, new utility revenue generated.
Got it.
This one right here.
Oh,
Sorry, I'm going a little too fast.
No, you're
Well, we were going down the packet and that wasn't.
Oh, okay,
the
sorry,
next
that
page.
might not, yeah, that's right. I
So-
rearranged the order in which
Yeah.
I was gonna present, which might not be the order that it's in your
we're
packet.
good.
We're all
I'm-
right.
I'm
We
with
got it.
ya.
So on the far right, just shows you the new revenue generated. If you look at, the new revenue generated on utilities is just over 1.5 million. However, $1 million of that is going to TSSD. So the city itself, we're at about $421,000 of money generated
So
for our
we need,
utilities.
when residents are ready to pick it, we need to have them pick it TSSD.
Well, I mean, we had the same issue last year. The increase was it was way more last year than it
21%, I
was
think.
this year. And so when people called, that was probably the first question, was why is my bill higher? We pointed to TSSD. We gave them TSSD's phone number and email address so that if they wanted to contact them to share concern about their rates. This is one of the hardest thing about being the pass-through is that most residents don't see the distinction between PG City and TSSD.
Nobody does. Yeah, nobody sees a difference.
And there's days I wish TSSD sent out their own bills and did their own collections. It would be a different discussion, be a different ballgame. But that's not how it is. That's not per our special service agreement, so we do that. It's the same with impact fees as well. So the purpose of this is to show you the new revenue generated, but also to give you a general sense of what our 5-year capital plan looks like. So water, we have about $23 million in projects. Secondary water, $650,000. Generally speaking, that's a fairly new system, okay? That's for our infrastructure. That's not including the meters. Storm drain, about almost 13 million in projects, and sewer, about 5.6. And so while we are generating $421,000 of new money this year for the city, in our 5-year plan, we have about $42 million in needs. So this is just to illustrate, we could always go higher on utility rates. I think we talked about this 2 weeks ago. There's we got to find the balance of what our residents can handle and pay for and still meet the needs of the city.
You know what I would love, Scott, if this is not an urgent ask, but I would love to know what the capital plan, the utility capital plan, has changed over the last 10 years.
Well, so we're updating them all right now.
Okay.
So we can, there might be a way to show that, but in some ways that's going to be irrelevant. Because as we're updating our capital plans, we're also doing a rate study. I think Neil talked about this a couple of weeks ago. And what you do is, we hire an engineer. They look at all of our capital plans. They look at what we're charging. They look at what our needs are. And trust me, when they come back, these numbers are going to be high. They will just be high because they're not taking into account politically or what the resident's going to have to pay. They're just looking at it in a sense of here's what your needs are and here's what you need to charge in order to meet your needs. So once you get that rate study, then we'll have a discussion about how comfortable we feel about changing some of these rates. But it will be the latest. We haven't done a rate study, I think, in over 10 years. Okay. And so, I mean, we did a rate study when I first started, and we had an issue of the city council not increasing rates for the course of years. I don't know how long.
Right.
But we ran into a situation where our water fund was
Secondary.
close to bankrupt. And so we had to make some changes, somewhat drastic, which, was in the neighborhood of $40 a month in order to get us to where we should have been. We're trying to avoid that as staff again. Now, there's only a handful of us in the room that were here when we had to do that. I don't know if any of you, I think it was my first year here, so I don't think any of the current elected officials had to sit through those meetings. But those were super painful. And so the commitment we made, at least as staff, is that we would recommend that there is some sort of at least COLA increase in our utility rates. And I think the council's been pretty good to adopt all those over time. We might have had a pause maybe during COVID. I think that year, I don't think we did any increases in utilities where we've have done that. So again, we're looking at this from an angle of here's what the needs are, here's what it costs. The input we need from you is, okay, we understand what it costs. However, we have to turn to our residents and ask for this money. And then you help us guide us through what that looks like. So we have a rate study coming up, updating our capital plans. All these things are going to commingle. We're probably looking at the end of the year before all this information is going to be available. But we'll have a pretty hearty discussion at that time. And then that will lead into our 2027 budget year when we have that discussion.
So I just want to make sure
Yeah.
I'm looking at these numbers right. So the 5-year capital plan, I think it says fiscal year 2025. So that would include some of the stuff we're doing with the Cook Family Park bond money with the storm drain, or is that not included?
No, that's not included.
Okay, so I just want to make sure. So this is stuff that has not been
This
earmarked
is
with
probably
any money
more,
at all.
so, sorry, this is probably more related to rates in a sense of our yearly rates. The bond, we did change rates to accommodate paying off the bond based on the utilities that were being put in there.
Well, I guess I'm talking about the capital plan.
Yeah.
Because I think we did capital projects with some of that bond money, right?
Yes.
So I just wanted I just wanted clarification on whether these capital projects disclosed in the 42 million, whether part of those were paid with the bond money or not. It sounds like they were not.
Yeah, that's what Neil's saying.
Okay.
That's a great question. That's a good question. Okay, I think that's all I have as far as budget is concerned. Is there any questions leading up to our tentative? I've got my feedback on how we want to handle how we want to handle the capital projects on those two items. Well, one item, I think
One.
majority of you are okay with the 55,000, so specific to the audio. And then we will revisit custodial. We'll have better numbers and a recommendation from staff, which we'll have for you when we meet in 2 weeks. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Okay, we'll now shift and go to director's reports. And Chief, let's start with you back there.
The back, chief.
Mayor and council members, there's quite a lot going on at the police department. I just want to let you know of a couple dates coming up. May 15th is Britt Smith's retirement. He's be retiring. We'll have an open house that afternoon, probably 2 to 4. I know that coincides.
What day?
It's May 15th.
I'll send you an appointment.
Yeah, we'll do a flyer and stuff like that. Will be coming up. That's just something to be aware of. There's another one that day for the chief in Orem, so there's 2 going on that afternoon. I imagine most people will probably stop at both places. A lot of stuff going on in the police department. A lot of that was mentioned in the weekly briefing that went out. I did wanted to bring another item to your attention. Received an email from an investigator out of Colorado, it's part of a auto theft task force. There was a group from Colorado that was targeting the Wasatch Front. This is a year ago, and one of our detectives, Detective Peterson, had a major role in that. Recovered, I don't know, a couple dozen vehicles, side-by-sides over in Rifle, Colorado. That group has still not been held accountable as they kind of decide between filing federal or state charges. So they decided, since we're not going to jail, we'll go back to work. So they came here last week. Again, Detective Peterson is very much aware of their presence and tracking them and stuff like that. So just last week, he noticed the ringleader was in town, was tracking him that way, notified the Colorado authorities. They set up a group of officers and intercepted them as they crossed into Colorado from Utah. Intercepted a little convoy that had a couple of stolen trucks, trailers, 4 side-by-sides, about just under $200,000 worth of equipment from the Kearns area. As the people slept, their property was being recovered in Colorado. They didn't even know it was missing from their driveway. So really hats off to Detective Peterson for spearheading that, making a couple phone calls to the Colorado authorities, and they were kind of lying in wait for them to come to them, if you will. Arrested 4 people over there. That investigation continues. We're also missing a truck here in Pleasant Grove from a couple weeks ago. We think it's the same group. So the Colorado authorities have been a great help to us, tracking down stuff that's been taken up and down the Wasatch Front and even down in the Arizona area for the last couple of years. So, but this one was spearheaded by Detective Peterson. So great case there. We mentioned kind of in that briefing, in the past week we have had involvement in our community with heroin, meth, marijuana, and now fentanyl. And we'll be doing a major case in regards to a fentanyl overdose and stuff like that. So the problems are here. They're very active, and we are working pretty hard to address all those in our community along with everything else. So we're busy, we're shorthanded, and we're looking for some more people, but we'll tackle that. So that's it. It's just a lot of stuff going on in our city. Most of it is small stuff, and we're kind of in control, but we don't want to get out of hand.
Just one comment from the briefing. There were, I think, 4
3
death investigations. So
yeah.
people in town. It was just.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't remember 3 in a row.
Yeah, it was a busy week. So
And I know that's hard for the officers.
some of them are tough. So, but they're hanging in there, and we just have some real rock stars out there doing their job and just charging ahead, meeting every problem head-on, and we'll tackle all those and involve the resources necessary, and we'll just keep plugging forward, so.
Thanks, Chief.
Questions? Thank you.
Dion?
Just a couple things. Full swing, spring's here. We're mowing, weed eating, spraying, fertilizing. The sports fields are all soccer, baseball, softball. We're moving along. Just FYI, today, there was probably 80 pallets of sod in Detention Basin 4 at Cook Park. Wow. I was there at about 11. They were doing the final prep, great pressure in the irrigation system. They were testing all the heads. And at noon, the crew was supposed to be there to start laying. I have not been back out yet, so.
So field 4, the one on the southwest?
It's the west field,
Okay.
west basin,
It's
yeah.
along 600.
Yes.
Okay.
So currently they're just doing inside the basin. Then they'll work their way, I think they're gonna do basin 3 next, and then they'll move up to the cemetery, and then they'll work on the exterior of the basins. So, we had our trail day last Saturday with Velo. We had 151 volunteers and 421 hours were put in. They did a great job. These are the little kids, like I'm talking 5 and 6 up to teenagers. And we did have some of the high school Vikings there. They were great. We got a lot of work accomplished. Our next trail day was going to be June 7th, but that conflicts with something else going on that day. So we're going to move that to the 31st of May. And then this Thursday at 8 o'clock, Hill Park is our Arbor Day program. So, any questions?
Thanks, John.
Yep.
Wonderful.
Let's hear from our library. You're always busy, Sherry.
So I told you about the Timpanogos Library Consortium that we started, and it's been going for a couple of weeks. We actually started before the last council meeting, but that meeting went so long I didn't come up and say anything. But we are doing deliveries 3 days a week. So we have 3 libraries, and so each library is taking a day and doing the rotations between the 3 libraries. And we're moving and receiving about 80 or 90 at least books per day that we do it. So it's already pretty popular.
Awesome.
Yeah. And the other thing I wanted to tell you about, we have a program. So Charlotte, and she was very involved in the Timpanogos Library Consortium. She's been amazing, but she also is over volunteers in the library, separate, other than the ones that Linda works with. So, we get teens who want some volunteer hours and other people who come in. And she and Stacy decided to start a program. So they started a program called Volunteens. And so they meet once a month and can just come work on whatever. Stacy saves up things that she needs done for summer reading and, cutting things out, stuff like that. And we're getting 20 to 30 kids, and we just barely started it, so it's already pretty popular.
Very cool.
Yeah, so if you know any teens who want anything for their college applications or just to give service, send them our way.
Sounds like we need to put that on Lisa's list.
Yeah.
Lisa
Yeah.
Flinder's list.
Volunteers.
Yes, exactly. Awesome.
Thanks, Sherry. Daniel?
Mayor, Council, I deeply apologize for not being able to connect to it. As I was talking to David, it's so important for my presentation to have a visual aid and to be able to describe it. And after the fact, when you guys were talking about the road, everything, but anyway, we'll present next time.
All good.
Hope so next time. Mayor, I know we discussed during working session a parking situation. We've been working with code enforcement with illegal parking on an unimproved parcel. The report that I have is that we're in the process of making that parcel compliant, and as of just this Friday, I got an email from the applicant, because we've been working with them, that cars have been towed. Cars have been towed, and they are putting FRP for a company that will more constantly do the towing of it. But the property owner is aware that they're in non-compliance. Of course, they have some questions. How come they were not in compliance? They want to see code. So it was a process back and forth trying to show them why they're not in compliance. But as of Friday, they will start working on the tow and stuff like that. So there's something that has been done. Eventually, in that place, on that parcel, there will be a 5-story building with apartments, and they have a building permit for the building. It's a 5-story building, so that's another thing that they're bringing to the table. Say we're going to start construction pretty soon, but pretty soon could be a week or 2 months, or it could be half of a year. That's why, regardless of what's going on with the building permit on that place, we're still working with code enforcement to make sure they get into compliance. Okay. So yeah, that's what I have, Mayor. I don't know if Council, if you guys have any questions for me, specific questions for me.
Hey, Daniel.
Yes.
Chick-fil-A is coming in. It's okay to say.
I had actually a good conversation with Councilor Rogers, and I'm always available on my phone. In case of there's a code enforcement situation that we want to report, just send me a text message. Our code enforcement gal she responds pretty quickly as well. So just let me know. We are complaint-based, meaning that she's not patrolling the entire day. Usually our neighbors call us and say, hey, there's a situation here, will you please come? And then that's when we go ahead and tackle the issue. So please feel welcome to send me a text message, and we'll work on it. And during these interventions that I have, during these times that I'm allowed to talk to the city council, I will give you a report of what has been done on the issue you guys report. Okay? Thank you.
Thanks, Daniel. I think just it's probably noteworthy to just point out the great work that's being done from a commercial development standpoint of view. And so we know you're running ragged. It's interesting, we have Chick-fil-A, we have a steak place. Have we talked about? We can't name the steak place, I guess, yet. So we've got some sit-down restaurants that are coming, and yet we just can't seem to get some commercial development across on the north side of doTERRA. We continue to push for that. We continue to ask for that. We continue to hold that developer to the commitments that he made, and we'll continue to do so.
Yes. Just as some report about that. So when the residential building comes, it's 2 residential buildings. One of them has 5,000 square feet of retail, and I have an application right now for a restaurant. But the application is not a building permit application. It's a site plan application for a restaurant in front of the building. That's what I can report for it.
Thank
I mean, at this point, I wish we had the 25,000 by now, but hopefully.
And that's the requirement.
It is the requirement. Correct. It is the requirement.
25,000 of commercial. Thank you, Daniel.
My pleasure.
Okay. It's your turn, Neil. Let's update on Public Works.
He's got projects going 24/7.
Wish he'd get out of my street.
I'll even just
They've been camped out on my street.
catch myself and say, you need to start the timer now. So, you mind if I touch on Todd's question about how things have changed on the master plan stuff? Well, gosh, so 3 years ago, I showed up here, and all I've done is just, you talk about running ragged, my first meeting, I think we were talking about Cook Family Park and Hale Center Theater and the road bond and getting to where we needed to be. And so if you said to me, what have you seen? I would say in the sewer fund, I saw the last lift station get eliminated, and I've seen millions of dollars of sewer liner to protect what we have and rehabilitate that. And then manholes. Every time we do a road, we got to fix the manholes. On the water side, I can't even kind of put into perspective, we have repaired dozens of PRVs. And to put it in perspective, a PRV regulates the water coming from the east mountains down the hills to provide the pressure. And you get those maintained and it helps reduce the amount of unexpected leaks. You're gonna have leaks just no matter what, it's a system that's pressurized. But in about a year and a half's time, we haven't ran a booster pump in the culinary water system because we have got our PRVs dialed in. That is from the training of the team and going and doing the work needed. Boulevard Wells up and running. It's $5 million. That would have been on the plan. Nathaniel replacement would have been on the plan. Every road that ends up having a water line in it would have said, we need to replace the water line that's 40, 50, 60, 70 years old. So there's that. On the PI side, we just delivered water out of a $10 million AF diversion, and the PI fund is what, through the irrigation companies and deliveries, pays for that. So we put in all of it about 700 meters. We have about 700 meters to go. A lot of grant money there, but the grant has a loan and it has a match that we have to put in money for. The PI's been paying for that. And then on the storm drain side, Cook Family Park has $10+ million of storm drain infrastructure. There are 3 main arteries of storm drain collection that go up 6th West, 8th North, and 4th North that's going to collect water from the very north end of our town to almost pretty much Battle Creek and 200 South. They're all going to funnel there. So you're going to say, what have we been doing?
That was never the question.
No. Sorry.
Hold on.
Let me finish. What have we been doing before that? What are we doing before that to make sure? Well, all that water went into orchards and vacant lots and off to the side. But as those vacant lots and as those orchards and as we put in curb and gutter, that stormwater's got to go somewhere. And then you say, okay, well, it's going to go through there. And then it's got to have an outlet to Utah Lake, another $10 million. When you start talking about what $10 million is, and our increase on 3-4 funds is 400 and change, it just, we've had to bond, we've had to borrow, we haven't been able to pay as you go. And it's nothing short of miraculous and outstanding, the job that has been done to put me in a place to execute. So I have to say, you know, I keep thinking, okay, well, as soon as the PI project's done, my phone will stop texting and Cook Family Park and roads and everything else. Well, we're planning next year's projects right now. We've already bid out what we're building this year, and we are in the planning phases of next year, in the design phase of what we're going to build next year. So the money is going towards good things and all the problems. There's been $30,000 or $40,000 fixes that I don't even bring up, and we just go fix them and take care of them. Try to highlight some of them. You know, right now, construction is ramping up. I mentioned the meters, the pool, the parking lot's going to be ripped up and be replaced there at the pool for the next couple of weeks. I just, the summer is bringing construction. We've already put the patch on the roads. Next will be the chip and then the micro, and we'll refresh those roads. And then we'll have several other road projects ramp up. 1520 is our big one right this year, all the way from 1100 north to 1800 north. Any questions or comments? I mean, that's just the 5-10 minute version of.
Just to Mayor's point, and it's my point as well. 1800. We know that's a warranty issue. We appreciate the urgency on that. Any idea when that project's going to be done by the contractor?
We're told they're going to pave in, I want to say 7 or 10 days, something like that,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
They're getting to the end.
Yeah, and then we're gonna rehab the whole road up 1100 north and preserve that.
600 west as well.
600 west, so yeah, I mean, 600 west, we're putting the curb and gutter in for the park, and then on the other side, we're doing some curb and gutter, replacing the whole water line. Gas is in there, upgrading, so,
And
you
then
know, Pleasant,
diagonal parking.
parallel on 600 west.
Oh, parallel.
Yeah. 400 north will have some angled parking similar to 800 north, but,
So, can I just mention on that
Yeah.
while we're on that 600 conversation with Cook Family Park, in the days that I've been down there, people are parking over at that church and walking across, and we talked about maybe doing something to
Yeah,
kind of
flashing.
highlight some traffic control
we're
for
gonna
crosswalks.
enhance the intersection at 600 west and 800 north with flashing beacons on each leg. We're,
I don't know, yeah, maybe temporary,
we
but
don't officially endorse parking in someone else's parking lot.
Well, I mean, to Steve's point, I was coming down, this was maybe 2 weeks ago. I was coming south, and there was a family
Yeah.
that was walking across from the church, and I stopped way away, and they stared me down for even being on the road. And I thought, dude, I have the right of way. You know, pedestrians obviously have a right of way as well, but they've got to be careful walking across that road, and I'm nervous.
yeah,
from a
I'm
safety
nervous about, and I also think the church may end up putting a gate in there, which they've done at other locations, but it's a dangerous situation. They'll be parking in that neighborhood, I think, and walking across.
There's a lot of traffic on that road.
Yeah,
Yes.
we hope that some of that will be alleviated with the completion of the full parking lot
Yeah.
and both accesses. And then, of course, 600 west will have some, 400 north will have some, future Public Works will have some. You know, we've dialed in about 500 parking spaces that'll be available to use the park.
Well, and you have 800 now that's open that you go into the upper parking lot, so that's been nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, if 3 or 4 people are in those 500 parking spaces, that's 2,000 people at 4 times 500. So, you know, the cemetery road network will be in there. I assume people will maybe park parallel in there.
My
So-
opinion is, I don't know if we've filled that parking lot yet.
We have not yet filled the
Yeah,
parking lot.
there's people
No.
that, they'll park at the church when there's parking stalls in the parking.
That's
They just don't know, they haven't seen.
The-
I think once the construction's done, once we
Yeah.
have the parallel parking, we have the angled parking, the only thing that could cause an issue is if we had soccer games going and the splash pad going. And right now, we're not planning on scheduling any soccer games over the summer. That's gonna be fall, winter. Splash pad's gonna be closed. So we might have moments where we get a little overwhelmed, but I think for the most part, we shouldn't have to worry about people crossing 600 West.
That
Throw
might
in
be
a
little
corporate
naive,
pavilion
but-
rental and it's gonna be all.
I do have a question. Do we know what our estimated revenue is on the transportation utility fee?
Denise has that number right at the tip of her fingers.
What is it?
I think it's something like that.
1.2?
David, is this working?
This,
We took it down by 30%.
yeah. Well,
Are you talking for each year?
yes, yeah. So I love hearing that number. I'm the oldest one right here now. Sid's not here, but 1.3. So when I started, we had 225,000 in our road budget.
Total, yeah.
That was post a bond payment that was 750,000. So,
I mean, that was Class C monies, and we had bonded, so we'd used most of our Class C monies to pay debt service. We did only have a couple $100,000, but since then, we've had transportation sales tax money through the county.
Yeah.
We have the transportation utility fee. We probably haven't added it up in a while, but I'm sure we're over.
Four?
Probably maybe close to $4 million
Yeah.
annual revenue now going into roads.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah, so that's not even what I'd planned to talk about today. But since you asked the question, I love, if you can't tell, I love infrastructure, I love the process, I love
Too.
our approach. I mean, it's been great. So after looking at the water supply and our execution of turning on the PI, I'd like to recommend that we just start using it right now, immediately. Normally, we wait till May 1st, but with where we are, with all the equation factors in there, I'd just like to say, you know, we're pretty much a week away, and I think that we're there, and hope residents don't use more than they should or need to. Maybe one watering or so, you know, to adjust your heads and get your fertilizer down, things like that. So, I think that's.
It's all pressurized, everything.
It's all pressurized and ready to go. Yeah, team did a great job getting that ready. So, what I wanted to show you was.
Is that David inviting you to leave? I don't know.
That's
That
the
was-
Oscars,
that was
man.
okay.
That's, the
We're
music
done
is
to nail.
playing.
Your
The
playoff
music
music.
is playing. I think the council has seen a couple emails, and maybe even through open session, someone has talked about the intersection of 500 North and 300 East. So imagine Grove Creek Drive, 500 North, 300 East. There's stop signs that go north-south, but 500 North is free-flowing. With the closure of Valley View Elementary, the safe route now from the upper east side now comes across that intersection. And with those, the new safe route and looking at the crosswalk situation and some of the, anyway, I commissioned a study to look at that for the need for a four-way stop there. The study came back and it recommended that we put a four-way stop in there. So we can either put a signal in for $600,000 or $700,000, or for, you know, a couple $1,000, I can put in some stop signs and some advanced message boards that say that we have a new traffic pattern, and that's what I'm recommending we do. Well, I'll put in flashing stop signs on 500 North, and then I would put in variable message signs that say look out, stop sign, and we've really got to light that up when you have a new traffic pattern. I don't love hindering traffic. I don't want to put in unnecessary stop signs or things that are going to impede the flow of traffic and transportation. And this spot, you know, I was a little bit torn in that, but saw the study came back. So I guess just kind of with your consent and head nod, then I'll move forward with that.
So the study was like clearly indicated with that being the safe route to schools that there should be a four-way stop.
Yeah, I mean, you do a warrant study, and there's a few different things that say when it triggers. And this particular location has actually had several accidents.
Wait, what's the address?
500 North, so Grove Creek Drive,
Yeah.
and 300 East.
So church on the corner.
The church, yeah.
The church on the corner goes all the way down in
Church on
front
the
of
corner.
Central Elementary,
Okay.
comes all the way
Backside
up
of
to
the
Grove
junior
Creek
high road.
Crest, and goes by the junior high and Grove Crest.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the backside. Yeah, I agree.
Oh,
Sorry, Diana was struggling with
the church is on,
the northeast
Church is
corner.
right there on that corner.
I'm just thinking Grove Crest, I can't think of the church.
I mean, I agree with you, Neil. We're gonna
Two churches
need to
right
be
there.
pretty aggressive, letting people know that there's a stop. Linda did this kind of just up from the pizza factory. They put a
Yeah.
four-way stop in right there. And it took a while for people to realize there was a stop coming down off that hill, so.
Same with 1100.
1100,
Yeah.
Was
we
it-
added two
they-
stop signs and it took a minute.
They have also, I think in Linden, they ended up having to put a speed limit sign up right before it too, and so you're coming down the hill, and then but it's gonna take a while for
Yeah.
our residents to recognize there's a stop sign there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that road, I agree.
I
That
agree, though,
Needs
that it needs
a
it.
stop sign.
Yeah, it's,
Especially while school's in session.
I'm not always convinced stop signs or four-way stops slow traffic down, because studies will show that then people feel like they are behind and have to speed up really fast after. But in this location, I think it's a good location for that, and especially since the Warrant study has it there, so.
Are there sidewalks all the way then east on Fifth? Because there were a couple of locations, like on Fourth and Fifth East, where I don't know that there was sidewalks.
I'll have to just double check that. I know we put in some sidewalk last year in a crossing right there into the junior high. We updated the corner there with some drainage and some stuff, so I'll double check that with the route. And that's all part of the process is evaluating that now that we have a new route that, since the school closed, so.
So as part of the route, some of that south side of town then has to cross 500 to come north?
Yeah, if you look at the boundary for
Junior
that,
high, yeah,
it
down
goes
to
clear
junior
up
high.
and
Into-
I do
Within
believe,
walking distance.
Neil would show us, but the
yeah. And I've been.
David didn't want us to see
I
anything
typically work
today.
with Carl and the PD, and they give me feedback and say, how about this, and what do you think of this, and then we collaborate a little bit, and you know, go paint it, or put up some new signs, or make it more visible, things of that nature, so. Any questions for Public Works?
Well done.
No, thanks for the update on the pool. Looks
You
like
bet.
everything's
Everything's
right in
still,
line, looks good.
everything is still looking
Awesome.
good for those three things on which I updated you on that.
we're
Yeah.
praying for rain, we pray for sun.
Yeah, pray for snow in the mountains, sun in the
Well, now
valley.
that we have water, we can water our lawns. I will now start praying for sun.
Yeah, I'll put that out. Thanks.
Okay, let's hear from our fire chief. Chief Ingram.
Hopefully it won't take as long as Neil. See what happens. Real quick, I think probably some of you seen the news already with that South Jordan firefighter that passed away yesterday at work on duty. One of our part-time guys, some of our guys know him, and one of our part-time guys was one of his partners or preceptor for him for medic school, so we knew him pretty good. So it's kind of rough for some of those guys out there today, but they're doing pretty good. Kind of just a weird deal.
Wait,
Feeling-
what agency was he with?
South Jordan.
He was with South Jordan.
Yeah, full-time firefighter. Just feeling sick, did some training, went to his room to just kind of rest it off, and never woke up.
How old was he?
49, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, no fun, but it's just kind of one of those things that happens. So, real quick, fire department, we've been busy, just clipping along these last few weeks and a few more weeks to go. A couple things was going on. Colby Draney, one of our female firefighters, paramedic, she wants to go to Hell Week. She wants to be in the SWAT team. So she'll be headed to Hell Week this Friday for 4 or 5 days. And so she's excited, a little nervous, but I think she's pretty excited. We got a pretty good track record. None of our firefighters have failed Hell Week, so the pressure's on her a little bit to see what she does. But I think she'll do well. She'll do good. She's a tough girl. She gets after it. With that, Ricky Fastbinder, one of our other kids that was in paramedic school, he graduated, passed all of his tests, and he's online, ready to go. So that's a good thing for us. This last week, you've probably seen some wildland guys running around. I've had some classes started this week. They've been up at Battle Creek in both canyons doing some mitigation, climbing the G, and they're out today between that little kind of wetlands area between the Villa Apartments and Pleasant Springs. They did some mitigation in there late last year, got some stuff built. They went and did some burning today to kind of get that down and work up. But we're getting training out of that. We had a few people come over and help us out. So you'll see that going on for a little bit in this next few days doing that. So we're crossing our fingers. We should get on the board and have our wildland firefighter team ready to go by the 1st of May. So we can get them on the board and get them shipped out. We've got 3-4 seasonal employees that we picked up that they'll be able to send out there, so I can keep all my full-time personnel here and won't lose any of that stuff. So that'll be good for us and kind of both sides. So that'll be a fun thing for us, get that going. Really, next thing really, you'll probably see us the next little bit doing some hydrants. We'll be out in the city testing hydrants again, kind of going through, opening them, flowing them, testing pressures. I've got with Neil and Drew, who's over the hydrant area, so one of our guys is taking over that. So you'll probably see us out there testing them. So if anybody asks what we're doing, we're just kind of testing. It's something we should be doing every year. Haven't done it for a couple of years. Kind of COVID slowed things down a little bit, and a lot of construction going on, which, you know, doesn't help us to open hydrants. Neil probably hates that when we're doing that, but. So we're gonna get after this year and try to get a few of it, get caught up on that with that testing, so just so you guys know. But other than that, just kind of moving along and getting there. So, any other questions?
Thanks, Chief.
All right, thank you.
Denise, do you have anything else for us? Wendy? Tina?
I yield my time to my esteemed colleague in Public Works.
Yeah.
Who had 5 minutes?
Well, David, you kind of got beat up a little bit tonight, but
I'm excited for May 5th. Sierra will be here, and I'm sure she'll be much better on the AV. I apologize to Daniel. I promise I was not trying to sabotage his presentation. In Neil's presentation, I just wanted to remind everyone that Public Works was the Department of the Year.
That's right.
And the Academy Award speech needed to be cut off. Just kidding.
okay. Scott, what else?
Just a reminder, next Monday is the volunteer recognition dinner at Stonegate. I think I have it as 7 o'clock on your calendar. It is at 6. I'll change the calendar appointment, but
Okay.
just wanted to remind you of that. That's all I have.
Okay. Eric?
Nope. No.
You do have it at 6.
I do?
Yeah. Well, there's two of them. There's a 6 o'clock and a 7 o'clock.
You can go to the 7 o'clock. You come to the 7. Dan.
Laurel, can I go to both? Great employee recognition event. That was spectacular. That was just a lot of good feels. We have a lot of really good employees. Very, very grateful for them.
Sorry, so on this volunteer dinner, Sherry got it right. Scott got it wrong.
They changed the time on me.
Okay, we will be there at 6.
Laurel, don't let him do that to you. Don't.
Look, Laurel's in charge, man. I just, whatever she says, that's when we're.
But whatever is happening is getting
She says
fixed
6 o'clock,
as
we're
we
meeting at
speak.
6.
It's just been.
Trust in
yeah.
Laurel, do not trust in me.
Okay.
Steve?
Yeah, no, I think most of it came up in the budget, and I really appreciate Mr. Steele coming down and reminding us of how great our country is, and that we all have a duty to make sure that we uphold the greatness of our country. But other than that, I don't have anything.
Okay.
Well said.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, we agree and definitely agree with the Constitution. Mayor, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?